At every table, there's a quiet center. A place where stories unfold, laughter lingers, and connections deepen. For over 140 years, we've been the heart of that table. Barilla, at the heart of every table.
So welcome everyone. We're really excited to have you here. My name is Nevo. I'm the community manager for LTX Studio. And we have here a very special guest, Yoav Lutsky. He's the AI creative working with and on LTX Studio. So he will share with us some amazing insights about how you can use AI and specifically LTX Studio to generate and create an ad for anything that you may think of. So without many further ado, or you know what, maybe I will add something. This webinar, as you can see, is the only people that can speak right now is Yoav and me. And if you have any questions, which we will love to answer, you can use the Q&A section. You have it below. So if you use the Q&A, you can submit any question for Yoav or for me, and we'll either answer them live or type in an answer. And you'll be able to communicate with us during this lesson of how to create an ad using LTX Studio. Besides that, I think we're good. So let's go. Yoav, thank you for joining us. And I would love to... Hello. And I would love for you to give us a short intro about yourself and what we're going to see today.
Yeah, sure. So, hi, I'm Yoav, and I am a creative AI specialist at Lightricks. This role is relatively new, as the whole Gen AI field is new. My background and my team's background is actually in video, film, post-production. And I think it felt kind of natural for us to integrate into this new technology. And we are actually kind of like learning as we go, because it's revolutionizing a lot of like old production styles. And today we're going to show you like we created some spec ads. Basically, we tried to use LTX and see if we can create ads that would pass as ads for companies. We did many different ones, and one of them, the one that we'll show you today, is for Barilla. Okay.
The pasta.
Yeah.
Nice.
Barilla
Everyone
pasta.
loves pasta, so it's very communicable. Cool.
Okay.
So let's dive in, I think. Do you want to show us maybe the ad that you've made for Barilla? And then I think we'll start by breaking it down and maybe teaching a bit about the background and how you actually made this.
Yeah, sure. Just a disclaimer, this is not like a Barilla commissioned ad. It's something internal for us to test and see if we can do it. So this is...
And no pasta was hurt during this. Yeah, but we haven't had, unfortunately yet, maybe this will bring us some collaboration with Barilla. But yeah, this is just for internal use, and we have just imagined on how you can create a Barilla ad. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's good.
At every table, there's a quiet center. A place where stories unfold, laughter lingers, and connections deepen. For over 140 years, we've been the heart of that table. Barilla, at the heart of every table.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So now I think we're kind of like gonna dive in on how we begin a project. I don't know, maybe some of you already used LTX, some of you haven't. So this is the home screen of LTX. The way I did it is I'm just gonna walk you through like the process that I did. So I started with a project from scratch. There were no characters that I needed to create, but if you do have characters that you need like continuity and to have them in different shots, then you create a character. Yeah, and then just Barilla, and over here you have different styles you can choose from. I'm just going to go with the regular cinematic style. And let's go. Okay, so this is the project, and now Nevo, should I go into like the technicalities of like how to use LTX or
First of all, I don't think you're currently not sharing your screen, so let's start by
sorry,
sharing
why
the
didn't you tell
screen.
me? Okay.
I didn't notice as well, but I think let's start by seeing from our homepage.
Yes.
Like we can when we start a project, we actually have several ways to do that using LTX Studio. And one of them is starting from scratch, which I believe this is how you also used for this type of ad. Like you wanted to start like a complete storyboard from scratch. So you went into the new project, and then you started to like establish a shot one by the other, right?
Yeah. So I'm showing. You can see my screen now, yeah?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So yeah, this is the homepage of like a LTX Studio. I began a project from scratch because I already had like the concept and ideas that I did with like ChatGPT. I'll show you that in a bit. So over here in LTX, yeah, you just write the project name. If you have cast, if you have like people that need to or characters that need to like appear in numerous shots again and again, then you can create a character, and then it will preserve that continuity. Over here, you have video.
Something, by the way, with a character that you can do if you add a character now, Yoav, you can also train an actor. This is something that we just added. I think you made this ad before this feature existed. So you can actually train. We used like a LoRa-based technology to integrate like a stealth in-house training options for actors. So you can just add like several images. My recommendation is around 15 or even more of different facial expressions and angles, and then you can train your own actor and use it as part of the advertisement that you do. So, but I don't think for this you needed any actors, didn't you?
No, I didn't use it, but yeah, like what you do is you basically, because the model, that not the person, the like the AI model that has been trained on billions of images doesn't necessarily know the person that you want. So when we say train, we mean like we're kind of like training a LoRa that kind of it's like a patch to the main model of that identity. Okay. So yeah, over here you choose the video style. We have some presets. And if you have like a specific style that you want to import, so it can take it from an image. So I don't know, maybe you have some specific animated style that you like, or some, I don't know what, Wes Anderson color, whatever. You can just drag it here, and then it will refer to that style in all of your shots. And then you just click start, and that's an empty project, an LTX project. So now I'm going to move it onto the project that I created. Sorry, it's this one over here. So this is the cleaned one. After like I only left the shots that were used, but this is the more robust project that had as well.
So this is like you started from scratch and you built like you had some sort of like like you knew kind of more or less what you wanted to achieve. What are going to be like the different scenes or the different kind of intentions or things that you wanted to show as part of this ad, and you built it one after like one by the other, right?
So that's a great question. Actually, and maybe now I'll go like to the concept part before I actually started generating shots.
Cool.
Is that there are limitations to this technology. So this means that it, like maybe in more traditional workflows, you just had an idea and you can go and produce it. Maybe budget was a constraint. Here, there's like technological constraint that it's getting better, but when I did this, there were even more constraints. So when you think of an idea, you need to kind of take into consideration the limitations that exist with it. So long shot usually back then had more issues. Very like unique camera movements and stuff like that. So what I did is initially I did a bit of a research on Barilla about on their brand. So I just watched a few of their ads. They have a lot of like stuff around closeness, family, togetherness.
Like a
Sign of love, yeah.
traditional family values that they try to bring in. So what you're saying is that you basically started like you had this idea or you had been commissioned to do like an advertisement for something for a brand. The first thing you'll do is try to kind of understand what is the brand's visual values and how do they like use it as part of their existing assets already.
Yeah. I wanted to create something that will look like it was created by Barilla.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also looked at their font and stuff like that and used that in my ad. And then I went to ChatGPT, and this is what I do now a lot is just I start brainstorming with ChatGPT. And I just told him like I'm creating a Spec ad that will show off LTX V and LTX Studio capabilities in use case. The ad I'm creating is for Barilla. It's not a real ad commissioned by Barilla. Can you help me think of ideas? And then it starts giving me ideas, and the problems like with LLMs, as many of you probably know, creativity wise, sometimes they're very literal. They can be very corny, not like subtle. So it can take time. So you can see, for example, like it started focusing on the LTXV part, and I said, don't focus on LTXV. So there's a lot of back and forth with the LLM. And the chat was extremely long, and it gave me a lot of ideas until I finally got to this idea, the heart of every table.
So basically you used like an LLM, and by the way, people here in the audience, this didn't have to be ChatGPT. You can use Claude or Gemini, like whatever that you like best, but you used it as like a you could say like a co-pilot for your creative process, right? You kind of try to um uh get ideas thrown to the air, check if something matches something that you like, and then try to develop it from there and use the LLMs as like some sort of like a co-pilot that helps you reach a creative goal, right?
Definitely. And somewhere in this chat, I also start to, I tell ChatGPT that it needs to take into consideration the fact that this is going to be generated with AI, and does it know the limitations that and usually it knows the things. So I asked it like to the idea to accommodate these limitations.
Yeah, so that's a very important point, I think, for everyone here, because when you try to develop an idea, you are kind of limited to the constraints of the production that you have. So you actually do need to kind of have an outcome in the end, and you have a production that has all of the things that you mentioned before, like the um, restrictions, whether it's budget or cameras, but AI also has these limitations of its that you also should kind of specify, because ChatGPT knows, or any other LLM knows, kind of the basics of what are the AI limitations at the moment, and you can like mention them as well, for it to take under consideration when you are in the creative process. So right from start, we begin by understanding like what are the constraints, and the creative idea is going to also take them under consideration. So that's a very important tip, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And also, um, when we needed to choose like something to create an ad for, I explored many products, and I thought of trying for the Apple Watch and stuff like that. And as I was doing the research and also testing to see if I can, and I realized that currently it's more applicable to products that usually the ads, they don't need to show the product too much. Kind of like atmosphere ads, I don't know, like for a beer or for perfume, or something that's very organic and can have a lot of different shapes and it's still okay, like pasta. But for example, with the Apple
Okay,
Watch,
cool.
if suddenly the watch is kind of like a perfect square, then people would automatically note it. And it created sometimes like, or a bit longer. So this is also something to take into consideration if you're trying to create.
And you can literally mention that to your favorite LLM bot, and mention that you're looking for something that is more like you're trying to avoid specific shapes or products to be included, and start looking for a more inspirational or environmental kind of advertisement. Cool.
Definitely. So
Awesome.
yeah, so I liked this one after really, this was a very, very long chat. Um, and um, and then we started, we started refining it a little bit. You can see there's some things here that eventually didn't make it into the full ad. And after this, I went and opened another chat and started to explore prompts. So what I recommend to do when you're working with LTX is to generate, just start generating many shots. Again, because this technology is limited, when you approach the generation part, you don't really know what will work, what won't work. So it needs to have kind of some wiggle room um, in what you can achieve. Uh, so what I do is I start to just ask. I told ChatGPT like what the ad I'm creating, and that it's going to be like I'm creating a storyboard, image to video, and I asked it just for prompts, and it starts giving me just a lot of prompts, and then I ask it
Also the
some prompts.
prompting process. So also like the literal prompting process is available like on LLM. So you can also get their help in breaking down like a visual idea that you have into a prompt that is best suitable for like text to image prompting process. So LLMs are also good here. That this is also a great tip, I feel. So everyone here, you can also use these LLMs to set up like the prompting systems that you want.
Yeah, definitely. If I didn't start a project from scratch, started with a concept, then I can ask LTX to already create the shots for me, and it will begin like to create a lot of prompts and options. So just I kind of like generate a lot of footage, of B-roll footage for the commercial, and then I just copied the prompts and started like adding a shot and pasting prompt. Let me just do one like just like this.
By the way, in the background here, I see the questions being asked. Scott, I think your question about the total time, we'll dive into that at the end in the summary. And Erling, about the Barilla logo, I didn't really understand the question. So if you can,
I think I understand. This was actually an issue, and it was very challenging.
So wait, the question for everyone is about having the Barilla logo in the actual shot. I think Yoav, you are going to talk about it in the process. So
yeah,
let's just continue on demonstrating. And if we don't answer, then we're keeping this question for
okay.
us.
So we'll answer this later. Okay. So yeah, I started just generating a lot of shots. And another tip that's important to know is that we don't always know what shot the motion will work well and what shot it won't work well. And sometimes shots that are extremely identical, they look very similar. One of them, the motion will be amazing, and the other one will not work well. So I created an example here for you. Like this is exactly the same prompt, just a different seed.
So for those, maybe just beforehand, for those of you who aren't familiar with how to use LTX Studio, so over here in the storyboard that you see here, every shot is generated by an image. So what's going to happen is that the prompt that you generate is generating actually an image, and then the image is being transferred and generated into a video. And what Yoav is now mentioning is that sometimes you can generate a video out of an image and the motion would be terrible, but just the slightest difference inside the image would make the motion become better, actually. So so he has a trick for that.
Yeah. So you can have everything the same, and there's one like random part in when you generate in with AI. It's the seed. It's just the random number, and that's what like creates these variations. So I can have like the same exact prompt and everything, and it'll just kind of create the variations. And then this is the way like you refresh and create another seed, or you can just in LTX just duplicate the shot and then hit that, and then you kind of save your work. So what I want to show you is this image. You can see it's not very good here. He's shoving it. I don't know. It's becoming part of his nose. Yeah, these didn't come out very, very, very good. However, this one, almost every generation, it worked well.
So this is basically the same prompt, but you just change the seed, you refresh the seed to change, then it generated a different image, which was good enough for you because you didn't need to have like a very specific kid in there, but you just wanted to have the composition kept. And then for this image, the motion that you generated was much better.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my tip. Like sometimes don't give up on a shot, just maybe either use a different seed or change something slightly, and then suddenly the motion will work well. So that's like one of the tips when you do it.
Did you for this project on the storyboard, did you use a specific style?
No, like I use the basic
just the
default
cinematic
style, which is it's changed now to boost, they call it, but yeah, it's the cinematic style.
Oh yeah,
right.
And what about the images that they do have a very similar feeling to them? You can see in every scene they look like they came out of the same footage or like the same shooting day that they had. How did you keep that consistent?
So this also I told like ChatGPT that I want I want it to be consistent, the lighting, and you will see in most of them there is like this golden warm golden light. Okay, or here golden hour light.
Okay,
But
so
you can also, when
ChatGPT
you write,
reinitiated it for each prompt. Like it
yeah,
regenerated the prompt to have the same type of uh,
yeah,
values. You can also do that in the scenes settings, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
you have the settings, yeah, and the styles, but then you also have in the scene, if you go like next to scene 2 below, you can set the location and the
Yeah,
style. Like
yeah. See,
if you click on those, you can also set them for the entire scene as well.
yeah.
So that's
This is
also something you
project.
can use.
Yeah, this will apply for all the project, and this is just for specific scenes. So sometimes you just need this like lighting for a
And
specific scene. And that'll,
if you process the location, then you can also use like do the lighting and everything instead of doing it through the entire scenes shots like prompt by prompt.
yeah,
So that's also a tool you can use. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Okay, and so what's next is okay. So I generated a lot of shots and more than I needed, and then I created the voiceover also.
Where do you do the voiceover? Can you
I
show us?
created the voiceover with 11 Labs, but you can
Hmm.
also create it inside of LTX.
And you can also add like any audio that you have into the projects, right?
Yeah,
Now we
yeah,
have
yeah.
you accidentally also clicked the timeline.
Yeah,
So
it's
this is
annoying.
also not available, I think, when you created this ad. But you can now upload like if you use a narration that you bring from any other source or you even record yourself or anything, you can go into the assets library on the left and then just add a sound effect or any audio file that you want and then just play around with it on the timeline.
Yeah. Yeah, when I did it, the timeline didn't exist. Actually, really new in LTX.
Yeah, it's from like yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to really play with it too much. But so I edited in Premiere. But yeah, a lot of the feedback that we gave when we created these ads, it was incorporated into the timeline feature.
All right, cool. So if you come across any other thing that timeline might have solved, like the process will mention that as well.
Okay. Okay. And so yeah, so generate a lot of footage. The voiceover, created the voiceover. And then I don't have the Premiere project here open, but I threw everything into Premiere with the voiceover and just started seeing which shot worked together well. Another thing that I recommend to use is the composition tool. Let me show you. So let's say I had a really hard time creating a top shot of a table just with a prompt. Okay. I guess there's not many top shots of tables that the models were trained on. So I just did this. I drew kind of like table. And we'll do all top shot of a beginner table with pasta.
So this feature is really cool. I love using it. Everyone that uses LTX Studio, I tell them to use that feature to begin with. Like it's the most fun. You can just prompt something and then draw things into this sketching, scribbling canvas, and it will just adapt while you are drawing. Now it's really funny. It thinks
Yeah.
that the square shape is the maybe you can put
Yeah.
with chairs around it and it will understand.
Yeah. I'm going to
This is actually a great job.
Yeah.
A long
Dinner
top
table.
shot. Now, while Yoav kind of tries this out, I can also recommend everyone to use ChatGPT or your favorite LLM, other LLM provider, to also get familiar with some different shot types, so you understand better on how you can try out different angles and stuff like that, because these prompts over here do understand them. So if you have set a long top shot, this is something that is very specific, but it does come from like a camera operating profession. And if you're not familiar with this, you can advise with any LLM.
Yeah. So here, like this is already getting to where we
Oh, that's
kind of,
cool.
yeah. And over here also like regenerate, it's just like refreshing and trying different speeds. And once you're, oh, this is good, but yeah. So
Oh,
I created many of these. And I want to show you like what will happen. And then you click on enhance and then just improves shot. Takes a second. Apply. And it's over here. And I want to show you if I took this exact prompt and just did it without the composition. I really hope what I'm saying is, you see, it's giving out like these kind of things. So the composition kind of helps it understand what you want, especially on complicated angles and shots that you don't know how to.
You can decide on like very, very specific details in your vision to be able to come across.
Yeah.
Which is very strong.
And besides the scribble, you also have the option of image. So I think that I also that I might have also taken like a reference of a top shot of a table from somewhere online and just put it here. And then it creates it. And there's different options here to use the depth or just the lines or the pose or colors.
So
it's really cool.
you can upload an image, and then the different types of like analysis methods are trying to understand what is in the image and then take the principles out of them and generate like a new AI generated image based on the image that you uploaded.
Yeah. Yeah,
that also fits all of the styles and everything that is presetted, because you can see down here below that you have the shot style and the shot location. So if you would have used that to have the kind of like the style consistency throughout the project, it will take the initial image that you took, but it will adapt it into matching the styles that you chose beforehand, which is also a really strong capability.
Yeah, this is very, very useful. Very useful. Okay, so what's next is motion. So as I said, you need to kind of like, let's go into the motion editor. Okay, basically there's two views, now three with the timeline, but two views: the storyboard view where you see all of your shots and the prompts, position stuff. And then you can go into the motion editor, which will show you all of the shots are now here below and the scenes. But now it's kind of like an advanced view that you kind of see more things. Let's go into something that I did animate. Okay, this. Neva, should we get into like how the animation part, how you do the motion parts?
Yeah, I think it can help about like some sort of like best tips for how to get the motion that you want, or how do you understand even if the motion that it's suggested fits into the entire narrative or the story that you've just done.
Yeah,
I think you also mentioned like generating a lot of different assets and then picking some out of them. So maybe that, I don't know.
Yeah. One of the things that can be difficult with generating video is the time that it takes in different like video models. Sometimes it depends which one. Sometimes you need to wait 2 minutes, 3 minutes per shot. And then if it's not, if it didn't come out good, then it wastes a lot of time. The good thing about like LTX V, which is the model that we trained for the video model, is that it's very, very fast. Sometimes the results aren't good, but you get very, very very fast iterations. So you can do what's called like seed exploration very quickly. So I generated like some of the shots. I go through like 10, 20 seeds until I find the right motion that I want. I think with this one, also I went through a lot of these. Another tip is that sometimes the motion that you're trying to create, it's very difficult to create it like chronologically. Like basically, I'll give an example. Let's say I want someone to take a glass, pick it up, and take a sip. Sometimes, I don't know specifically with that shot, but let's say that it's not working. It's just not working. Whatever you do, the glass, I don't know, goes into the eye and whatever, the hand dissolves. So sometimes what's good is to think of it in reverse. And then in post-production, you just revert the shot. So for example, with the glass example, what I would do is if it didn't work, then I would start the image with person sipping from the glass. And then in the motion prompt over here, I would tell them like the person is putting the glass down after taking a sip. So then that works. So that's like a very useful trick sometimes to kind of think of your shot in reverse. And another tip that I have, I didn't really use it so much in this project, but it's people have a tendency, because we're working like image to video, is that in the image that they're generating, oh, sorry, something happened. Okay, great. In the image that they're generating, they're already thinking of the full outcome of the shot. And sometimes the initial image is not what needs to happen in the shot. For example, let's say I want to have a shot of someone opening the door, and sorry, I have some screen. Okay, that was good. You have a shot of a door, and you want someone to open the door and walk in, or I don't know, someone needs to reveal something that's not in the frame. So divide your prompting into the image prompt initially, and also the motion prompt. So sometimes what your vision is like needs to move to the motion prompt, doesn't need to be in the image prompt. The image prompt can just be the door, and then the motion prompt, an old man walked in.
Can you show where in LTX Studio you can do the motion prompt?
Yeah, definitely. So this is the image prompt when you're in the motion editor. And over here, all of these are for motion. So frame animation. And over here, you have the motion prompt.
Cool. And
Okay.
also this, I want to maybe also point out that you can also generate motion prompts in LLMs. So if you go back to your ChatGPT, you're going to also ask them to produce specifically for this shot that he suggested. Also ask it to produce a motion prompt for a image to video AI model.
Yeah. And you can mention LTXV and
and then it will also be able to kind of understand like what are the specific motion types that LTXV preferred.
Yeah.
In the prompting. So two really cool tips I think you gave here. One is about motion prompting, which is really important for getting like a very specific motion that you were looking for. And the other is kind of hacking into like with a glass hacking kind of the
Yeah.
motion over there.
Yeah, not to think necessarily chronologically, like you can in post production. Or I think that's also another tip that I want to give is that you don't need all of the 5 seconds or 7 seconds be good. Also, like just think of like what you're going to use. So many of these shots, the whole 5 seconds are not necessarily good, but I only needed like 1 or 2 seconds out of it. So don't like discard a shot just because you see something, walk everything, and then think how much of this I'm actually going to use. And it's okay if like around it, there's things that fall apart. We'll also think of cropping.
Applicable. And that's now also applicable in the timeline because you can crop like the shots into having just like 2 seconds out of the 5 seconds that you've generated. So there's also something that you can do in-house within LTX Studio. That okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the shots with the grandmother, the hand was kind of like there was something that was kind of like there was a lot of noise and the shot morphing and shot was kind of falling apart just on the bottom a little bit. So I just cropped it because the motion was very, very good, but I just cropped it. And again, what I'm saying is referring to like a few months ago, like the model has improved since then. So yeah, as the technology progresses, I guess we'll have less of these like workarounds. But for now, that's some tips.
Can you show us maybe I like the if we're going back to the to Erling's question about the logos, can you tell us about a bit about branding, except from the like overall feeling and essence of the Barilla theme that is very like warm lighting, very family oriented, like the togetherness is very much in this as an essence, but branding also consists of like logos and other stuff. So can you elaborate a bit about that?
Yeah. So yes, Erling asked how did I have the Barilla logo looking consistent? So here's another little trick because the model does know what Barilla is, but again, it's kind of like, here it called it Barilla, and the box is a little open and stuff like that. So here in the ad, and I'll show that ad again. One second. In the ad, we actually, this in post-production, we just changed it to Barilla. So it's the same box, but we fixed it. Okay. So this again, there are like limitations with consistency, and this kind of refers to what I said of like what products will work and what products won't work. So here is just the logo we need to do. But if it was like an iPhone, we would need the whole ad either not to show an iPhone or kind of fix dimensions.
But I think you can also use composition because at composition, you can paste images on top of one another and change their size. Maybe you can go into one of the shots and you can just go to composition. You can download an image that you've done, that you've produced using LTX Studio. You can just download the image and then add it to composition as a reference. And then on top of the reference that you brought, you can also add the logo as another file. So if you go,
1 second, I'm going to try something. I'm going to get the Barilla logo and we'll see. Okay, so into composition. And what do we want to write, Neville?
So maybe you can say something like close up on spaghetti being cooked. On top of it, the Barilla logo. With the Barilla logo on top. But I also wanted to say that what I actually meant, and I like this where you're heading at, I gotta say, but you can also add more images into the same composition that you're using right now. Meaning uh, you can add 2 layers of images. One is like the pasta itself, and the other is going to be the logo, and then play around with this. And what Yoav is doing right now is that he's changed the settings of the analysis method for the image that we brought in and incorporated it. And then like the depth analysis wasn't pretty relevant here because it's a 2D image, right? So the lines would be the best. The lines method. Cool. So that's also a way to like have consistency of like the brand within the advertisement that you do.
Yeah. Okay. I tried to do something, but maybe we'll let it go. Okay.
Cool.
So I think we covered almost everything. The rest of it is editing, which so generated all the shots, put them in Premiere with the voiceover, music, and the voice itself that I tried to look for was there was also some kind of research into that. Yeah, I don't know if we can say too much about that. That's more like just feeling and artistic choices.
I think it's also a lot about the audio, right? Like if you have a soundtrack for the entire project, sometimes you want it matching like the beat of the sound that you have, and then you can change the length of every shot to kind of match the beats of the sound.
Yeah.
Also, I think I don't know if you mentioned you told me a few of the tricks you could say that you learned throughout the process, like generating something and then reversing it if it doesn't. You mentioned it.
that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
With a glass, right? And so you can just reverse some shots, which is really cool. And then I think also something that also has been asked is how much time do you suspect it took to make this entire thing, and maybe leave out the post-production part and just like the assets gathering for now. Like
So
how
if you
much
also like
time do you feel like you spend on this project?
without the like initial ChatGPT getting the concept and the idea?
With it, yeah. From concepts, like Scott's question, from concept to complete. You also mention the post-production, but let's also specifically mention how much time it took you for the post-production, because I have a feeling that it's longer even.
I think like the concept part maybe took like an hour or two, kind of get to that result, to something that I liked. And once I had the concept and I had the voiceover, it was fairly quick. Like just started generating a lot of different shots. Asked also ChatGPT to do it for me and to give me the prompts. I would say the whole like voiceover and shot generation in motion, maybe total like 3 hours, something like that.
Okay, that's crazy. I expected more, I gotta say.
Yeah. I worked on it like not in patches, like a little bit here, a little bit there. And the editing, it's fairly straightforward editing. So I'm guessing like maybe
Oh, okay.
an hour or two.
So it's like 5-6 hours for the entire project.
Yeah.
And then
So
Scott also asked about how much computing seconds it costs. So I don't know if you followed it, but I can tell you, Scott, that generating videos with LTXV costs around like 60, like 6 seconds or something like that. Around 50 maybe compute time. So you can sort of understand like how much would be needed, because I think you probably, for each shot that you used, you probably tried 4 different shots and chose one, and then also for each one you generated 4 previews until you choose the one that you wanted to choose. So that's like, for each shot you can say that you tried like 10 different shots, each one is 50 compute seconds. So that's like 500 compute seconds per shot. So you can kind of calculate that by that calculation, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
And Scott asked,
Yeah, about upscaling. Can you share about a bit about the upscaling option?
yeah. Every shot was also upscaled.
Okay. So after you realized which one of the shots you preferred out of the others, because upscaling also costs compute time. So you chose the one that you liked and then you upscaled it.
Yeah. This one's upscaled. There's just a bug here. That's because I'm using something internal, like a development environment. But yeah, every shot we upscaled. The ones that I wanted to use in the final cut. So you can also like download them not upscaled, edit, just like kind of classic offline online workflows. So use the not upscaled version, play around, see what you like. And then when you have the final cut with your 10, 15 shots, then only go back and just upscale those shots that you're going to use, and then just replace them. If you want to like save on compute time.
Cool. So I think I'm gonna summarize some of the tips that we learned here, and during that time, everyone can post some more questions for us to answer. But I think you used AI throughout the entire creative process. You can say like from the concept, you started to find different concepts to use and to iterate using LLMs. And then you also broke it down into specific like shots and specific frames that you wanted to generate, and used LLMs also for the prompting process. Then you brought back the prompts into your project that you chose to do from scratch. But by the way, you can also start a project with a concept, and then LTX Studio will automatically break down the story into different frames and shots to like automatically. And then something that you also did, sorry, I'm trying to avoid like the harsh sunlight coming from behind me. And then you started to generate different types of shots for each one, and you saw if you like the motion or not. You did share a trick about using different seeds for the same shot and trying to regenerate the motion, which helped you get better results for the motion sometimes, which is cool. And then you also showed us how to use composition for different more, you can say, complex types of shots that just like words and prompting just can't get you the details and the composition that you are able to produce by yourself just by scribbling. You also use composition for branding, so you also put in the logo. And maybe I can add in a tip for branding. For very famous types of products, you can use the casting screen to also cast non-human characters, and sometimes even like branded products, uh, like um, like casting a Barilla pasta box packaging and then just summoning it throughout the uh, project that you have. And then afterwards, you also talked a bit about the editing and about how you can just crop out different aspects or different timings of a shot, meaning you don't have to have the entire shot perfect. You just need a second out of it sometimes. And what other like very tips you remember that you gave throughout this webinar?
What other tips?
Yeah, like if we need to summarize, what are the biggest tips?
I think my biggest tip in general, not just with LTX, in general from in life right now, is like use like LLM and do a lot of back and forth with them. So if something doesn't work, don't just be like, oh, this doesn't work. This is, I don't know, bad. Go to the LM, tell him what's not working. Tell him if he has any ideas what could solve it. And then like do a lot of back and forth, a lot of iterations in that sense. And many times it solved the problems that I have creatively, especially because there's a lot of limitation. Yeah, so I think that's like the big tip is, and don't give up. Like many times I see people like just trying something, like a few times, and they're like, okay, this doesn't work well. Tell it it's not working well. Ask it why it's not working well, and then yeah, eventually you'll find like the sweet spot of everything.
So it's also a bit about like we have that term in the industry, I guess, called cherry picking. So it's also about like cherry picking, trying to produce as many outputs as you can, and then you basically only need one, don't you? Like you just need the one accurate shot. I think what's good with us integrating our own LTXV model is that it's so efficient and fast that you can actually produce so many different types of the same video and then just pick the best one instead of waiting for regenerating the video over and over again and looking for the perfect shot. Then you can just like cherry pick out of like many different differentiations of the same thing. So that's also a big tip, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the fact that when training LTXV, like the model, like a lot of emphasis was put on speed, was because of this process of like iterations and the need to kind of like not stop the creative flow, just like waiting 2 minutes, 3 minutes per shot, and then like saying, okay, doesn't look good, or it's not what I wanted. It can be really like excruciating. And here, like that, you can create a lot of iterations. It's very helpful. Yeah,
Cool.
and I think it's much cheaper. I'm not sure of like but it's in like the 30, 40, I don't remember how much, like times cheaper than some other models.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy fast and efficient, which is really cool. Cool. I see that we don't have any further questions, to be honest, and we're just on time. So thank you everyone who's joined for this. Please, oh wait, thank you. Yeah, Laurie, thank you.
Thank you.
If you have any additional questions or you want to follow up on other things that we do, we have a lot of tips and tricks sessions that we host and other webinars, and we also share some announcements and a lot of improvements and updates that we do for the platform on our Discord. I think you all probably came from there, so you probably don't need to to know this, but this is also being recorded, and if we post it on YouTube, then everyone here know that all of the content that we record is also posted on YouTube, so you can check it out there. So see you again next time, and thank you everyone, and thank you Rob,
Thank you.
and we'll see each other in the next content that we do. Bye.